move. Inside, no. Paul gathers it in. Clock at 3. Curry, 3. Oh!
Oh, there's the meme.
What a shot!
Directing traffic, Klay, you go over here. Steph, you set a screen for me. I'm going to drive in there and dunk it. Klay was fading there, but Kuminga!
It's been a roller coaster ride for the Golden State Warriors this season so far. But more recently, it seems they're slowly finding their stride where, at one point, they won 5 consecutive games in 7 outings. During that stretch, they defeated the Nets and the Blazers twice, got a statement win against Boston, and also handed their former pal Jordan Poole and the Wizards a big loss. And before losing to the Nuggets, the Warriors were also amidst their longest home win streak this season with 8 games. Now, obviously, the Warriors did something good during that stretch, which is why they won 5 in a row, and in this video, we're going to be talking in detail about that and how they can use this as some sort of momentum to propel their season moving forward. But before we dive right in, here are some interesting facts that they achieved during their 8-game home winning streak. In that period, the Warriors ranked top 5 in points per game with 127.8, third in rebounds per game with 51.8, tied third in assists with 32.3, second in made field goals per game, and fifth in terms of three-pointers per game. Now, apart from their collective effort, the other reason why they had a short and sweet winning streak is because the big guns showed up, with one of them being the chef, Steph Curry. He started the winning streak by dropping 37 against Brooklyn, and though he struggled against the Blazers in the next game, he followed it up with back-to-back monster games against Boston, where he hit the night-night game winner, and at the reunion game with Jordan Poole where he dropped a 30-piece against the Wizards. It's also important to note that during this stretch, Steph had 3 games where he shot above 50% from downtown. I mean, he drilled 6 out of 8 three-pointers versus Brooklyn. Then he shot 54.5% from beyond the arc in their marquee game against Boston. And lastly, he went lights out against the Wizards, where he splashed 8 out of 13 triples. Now, if you add up all his stats in that 5-game stretch, Steph averaged 26.8 points, 4.8 assists, and 3 rebounds on 51.6% shooting from the field and 46.8% from range. Without question, the Warriors still lean on the 35-year-old Steph a lot to do the heavy lifting offensively. While most of the starters are inconsistent this season, Steph is carrying them on his back as he keeps on playing at a high level in his year 15, and they definitely need this kind of production from him every single night just to keep their championship aspirations alive. Anyway, next up, let's talk about his partner in crime, Klay Thompson. Now, it's quite obvious that Klay's struggles on both ends are well documented this season, but during that 5-game stretch, it seemed that Klay had turned the hands of time for a moment as he played like it was 2015 all over again. I mean, from averaging just 16.4 points on 36.8 shooting from 3 in the first 24 games this season, Klay amped his scoring average to 24.8 points while shooting 51.7% from the field and 46.3% from beyond the arc during the 5-game winning streak. Despite how insanely good Steph is playing this season thus far, he needs every bit of help that he can get, and one of the biggest missing links this season has been the outside shooting, as well as the offensive struggles of Klay Thompson. But based on his performance during their 5-game winning streak, it's a good sign that Klay is picking up where he left off 2 seasons back. And as long as he remains confident in taking his usual shots, I think there's a strong chance that he can shrug off the offensive funk he's in right now for good, and hopefully regain his former all-star self right before the trade deadline. Anyway, just like Klay, Wiggins has been playing inconsistent basketball this season as he only averaged 12.6 points on 30% shooting from 3 in the first 24 games. However, that wasn't the case during their winning streak, and even if he only suited up in 3 out of 5 games, Wiggins still put up better numbers, averaging 15 points, 6.3 rebounds on 46.9% shooting from the field, and an impressive 62.5% clip from downtown. After starting in the majority of games this season, Steve Kerr has relegated Wiggins to the bench in the last couple of games to switch things up, and although this is a big step back for Wiggins, Kerr's experiment is actually paying off, Because if you take a look at the stats of games where he came off the bench, Wiggins is actually thriving as part of the second unit, as he scored 14 against Brooklyn, 25 against Portland, and even though they lost to Denver and Miami recently, Wiggins racked up double digits in scoring in those games, which means that putting him on the bench in exchange for Kuminga is a good and smart decision after all. Well, speaking of Kuminga, JK has also been playing really well for the Dubs as of late, and during their 5-game winning streak, he averaged 14.4 points and 5 rebounds on 63.6% shooting from the field and 36.4% from 3. Apart from Wiggins' offensive struggles, Draymond's indefinite suspension has also allowed Kuminga to see more floor time, and so far, he's making the most of every minute that is given to him. His defense, as well as his timely scoring, were big keys in their huge win against the Celtics recently, and if he keeps that type of steady performance moving forward, there's a solid chance that Kerr might make him a permanent fixture in the starting lineup, regardless if Wiggs plays like his old self or Draymond comes back from his suspension. Anyway, aside from the usual suspects, the Dubs rookies have also turned a lot of heads during their winning streak, and one of them was Brandon Podziemski. Even though he was selected as the 19th pick, Pods is currently showing that he's the sleeper pick of this year's draft, as he's basically filling up the stat sheet night in and night out. During their 5-game winning streak, Pods tallied 11.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, 4.6 assists, while shooting at a high clip from the field with 47.9%, 33.3% from 3, and 83.3% from the foul line. The thing that separates Pods from other rookies is his high basketball IQ, and on top of that, he also has a great feel for the game. I mean, although he might not score a lot in most games, Pods will always find a way to make an impact, whether it's about making an assist or diving for loose balls. And you can always rely on him to make the right reads and make the right plays, especially in crucial situations, just like when he put his body on the line to get a charge against Shaedon Sharpe, which ultimately sealed the game for the Dubs. Now, lastly, aside from Pods, the Dubs' 57th overall pick, Trayce Jackson-Davis, has also made a huge splash recently, especially during their most recent winning streak. I mean, TJD averaged a double-double of 11.8 points and 10.3 rebounds on 73.3% from the field, amidst their 5-game winning streak. Before this, TJD only played 14 out of the first 24 games in limited minutes, but with the front court struggling, plus the suspension on Draymond, Kerr had no option but to take a gamble on TJD, and so far, TJD has been holding his end of the bargain and even performing better than expected. Against Boston, he had 10 and 13 along with 3 blocks, one of which was the crazy rejection that he had against Jaylen Brown when he met him at the rim. And in the following game versus the Wizards, he racked up another double-double of 10 points and 15 rebounds to show that he can produce and deliver whenever his number is called. Anyway, even though they lost back-to-back games to contender teams such as the Heat and Nuggets, hope is not all lost for the Warriors because they are capable of winning a string of games if the right buttons are pushed. Even though their winning streak was cut short, they can build momentum from that and take it as a confidence booster moving forward as they prove to themselves that they're still as lethal as ever and can dominate teams when everything clicks together for them.